Cops may think of themselves as untouchables, but they should remember that even they aren't above the law. Here are some moments when the judge absolutely destroys lying and corrupt cops. Let's get into it. Starting off with Officer Michael Wagner, who lied in his report that Lisette Gonzalez was driving under the influence when she was never given a breathalyzer. This is what the judge had to say about it.
I want to be enlightened.
It was a mistake, admittedly, by Michael Wagner.
I know.
He testified to that today.
He caused her to have her driver's license suspended for at least a few months for nothing. So are you going to no process that case? Or am I going to get mad?
Perhaps you can get mad at me, Your Honor, but at this point...
Why wouldn't you? Wait a minute. Did you hear the uncontroverted testimony of this officer?
Your Honor.
Then I want you taking him up on perjury.
Your Honor.
Will you take him up for perjury?
He admitted it was a mistake, Your Honor.
No, but he lied. He lied on a sworn
Absolutely
citation.
not, Your Honor, and that is not true.
I'm dismissing. I am dismissing this charge. No, I'm dismissing the charge. This whole case was fishy, and I have no idea how they. You know what?
Their address on file.
You know what?
The state intends to amend
I'm granting.
the charge and proceed on
I'm rescinding the sentence. I'm granting the JOA.
Because you don't agree with the state's decision on
I'm
the
granting the
other charge.
JOA in fairness.
In fairness, because you don't like the state's decision today, Your Honor, on the case?
No, you're not. Now that I consider what Officer Wagner testified to and how many times he basically tripped over himself just to arrest this lady with no real probable cause. You're done. Motion JOA is granted.
And you're not going to provide a written order on that?
Nope. You want to appeal me? Appeal me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The case should have never been done. Never.
Thank you for letting us know.
The judge was furious with the cop for lying and ended up removing the charges on Gonzalez. Next up is Joseph Roberts, who chased down Trinity Clark as she was calmly walking outside of her house.
What's going on?
Nothing.
Okay.
What you want? I didn't do nothing. You tripping. Hey, bro, you tripping. What the f***? Hey, bro. Bro, you took me out my shirt, bro. What the f*** is wrong with you?
36
Come on, mama. The f*** move, I ain't got no shirt on,
You're being
bitch.
detained.
Move, I don't got no shirt on, bitch. Move my out, you stupid ass bitch. Bro, move my out, bitch. Move, bitch. I'm not playing, bro. Bro, I don't got no shirt on, no. We fucked up.
Now you don't even know that serious. Don't come up here pulling your gun out of none of that. It ain't
Get in the house! How about that?
Mama!
Bro, somebody call my mama.
36 y'all, get us some units up here. We got people coming to the house.
Trinity, what's your mama?
Yeah, I'm gonna carry.
Bro, move my out if y'all don't move.
Get your hands out.
No, I don't have no bro. Yo. Bro. Bro, let me go. I don't got no money. Mama. Mama. Mama, bro.
2816 Landon. Oh, y'all better get DLC in the house.
Get the off of me, y'all. Bro, get off of me, y'all.
Put your hands on your back right now.
Bro, go.
Hands on your back. Put your hands on your back.
Roberts was also caught lying to the other cops about the incident. Luckily, Roberts resigned from the Knoxville Police Department later and pled guilty to destroying or tampering with records.
And she pulls over really quick right here, steps out of the car and tries to run in the house. I told her to come here. She's not coming here. She's not coming to me. So I try to grab her.
That's fine. You tell me in a minute. You're okay.
Next up is Anthony Waller, who was being questioned by the judge as he was caught under the suspicion of assault when the deputy near him took matters into his own hands.
The investigation for false imprisonment, assault in the third degree, assault as a class 2 felony, and a misdemeanor charge as well in possession of drug paraphernalia.
I'd like to object first. If I'm under investigation, I thought the investigation came first, and then the rest came. Hold on, man.
Get up. Get on your feet. You don't turn on me. Get on your feet.
Waller was just talking to the judge when the deputy did this. Luckily, the judge took notice and he was put in custody before a case was opened against him, and Waller ended up getting $50,000 in the civil rights case. Moving on, this Pike County Sheriff, Charlie Reeder, was caught stealing money from different cases to support his gambling addiction. Watch his confession in front of the judge.
I stand here before you today to take accountability for my actions. As a sheriff of Ohio, I shed, excuse me, I shed bad light on the office of sheriff. For this, I am terribly sorry. If I could go back and change it, I would 1,000,000 times.
There's another box of Kleenex and
For this is not who I am. I have, and I now pray that the court will find mercy on me. And I beg the court, if they see fit, to grant me community control.
The sheriff pleaded for mercy, but the judge made clear to him what he had done.
The big question I have, and is on everyone's mind, I'm assuming, is, I guess, why did you take the money?
I took the money, and mind you, this does not excuse it, but from drug dealers that took it from parents of very poor people in this county.
You've been in law enforcement for 24 years. We all choose our profession, and we have to conduct ourselves with integrity so that everyone trusts us. It cannot be underestimated the damage that you have caused to the citizens of Pike County, to law enforcement who every day get up, face the same sort of stresses that you do. They go home at night, they get up in the morning. The sacrifices that these men and women make, I think you made a mockery of them.
Judge Vonda Evans didn't hold back when passing sentence to this officer, William Melendez, who was convicted of beating a suspect.
I would have thought this. What crime did I commit? Being a black man in a Cadillac, stopped for a minor traffic offense by a group of racist police officers looking to do an. As police officer John Zelenowski, auxiliary police officer, testified in court too, in his response to a text, was quoted as saying, "At least give me the satisfaction of knowing that you're out there beating up right now. LOL." How humiliating and degrading that must have been. He was left in a cell for a number of hours before getting medical treatment. But after hearing the defendant and his fellow officers joke about his injuries as they were wiping blood off their uniforms with disinfectant. 2015. Please be quiet in my courtroom. How does this happen? I'm going to tell you how it happened. You betrayed your city. You caused your lovely wife heartache. And you caused Mr. Dent severe anguish. And finally, in the words of Vicki Yost, your commander, accountability is required to ensure continued community trust and healing.
Moving on, we have a former Sheriff Todd Pate, who was arrested for multiple charges, including serving under the influence and was having a tough time pleading guilty in front of the judge.
At this time, is it your desire to change your plea from not guilty to guilty?
Do I have to answer that yes or no, or can I make somewhat of a statement?
That is a yes or no answer, sir.
Will I have the opportunity to say anything further?
If it is your intention to change your plea from not guilty to guilty, certainly you'll have an opportunity to make any statement. But if it is not your intent to enter a guilty plea at this time, then I'm going to set your case for jury trial, and you're going to stop wasting my time and everybody else's time this afternoon.
Ma'am, I'm not trying to waste your time.
And then is it your intention to enter a guilty plea at this time or not, sir?
No. Why am I wasting your time,
Mr. Chambers?
After asking multiple times, the judge ignores the corrupt cop, moves on to the prosecutor, and takes a recess.
I had every intention of coming in here today and entering a guilty plea. It's difficult for me to enter a guilty plea for a lot of reasons, and I don't want this court to think that I am trying to minimize any responsibility that I had in this situation. I feel like I'm being very much bullied into doing something that's not right. And I want this court to know that Todd Pate holds himself responsible for everything that he did. It's hard for me to lay down and plead to felony charges that don't apply.
Is it your intention today to enter this guilty plea?
And if I could address...
This is either a yes or no. Are you going to enter your plea or not?
I guess everybody thinks it's funny. Let me just plea and get it over with for everybody. Plea to something that I absolutely do not feel good about, but I don't want you to try to send me to the penitentiary for years and years. Probably
I think
unusual,
we're done. At this point in time, I think we're done. Where I think we are today is that on the one hand, the Commonwealth can enforce the terms of this agreement based on the execution. Mr. Pate, I'm talking at this point in time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
At this point in time, I'm going to sustain the Commonwealth's motion to revoke his bond. He will be taken into the custody and housed in the Breckinridge County Jail.
Your Honor, if I may speak to Mr. Chambers' motion to revoke the bond.
I've already ruled. I've already ruled at this point in time. We're done at this point in time. He's going into jail today.
Pate eventually pled guilty and was served with a sentence of 75 days in county jail. Up next, former Edison police officer Michael Dotro appeared in court against the judge after he had been arrested for firebombing his supervisor's home.
I also want everyone to understand where I'm coming from with regards to this, especially if there's going to be any appellate review of this sentence. I want those judges to know the sentence to be imposed in this particular case is because Mr. Dotro, through his conduct and his admissions, spanning from 1998 to this year, represents the worst that we can possibly expect from someone in our society. Yes, he's caused very specific damage to Captain Enderkel and his family, to Ms. Zog, to Ms. Dotro, to his own parents, to his families, to his brothers. But what he's really done, and what we're going to be left with after he's walking out the door to spend the next third of his life in prison, is allow people a basis to say that our system of justice has no integrity. How could it when we've allowed this particular individual like him here in Middlesex County, here in Edison, to do the things that he's done, similar to what we see on the news every day from other parts of the country. Because of what this individual has done, because of him and people like him, victims are afraid to come forward to be part of the criminal justice system and get the relief that they're entitled to from being victimized, because they have no faith in it, because they don't know who to trust. Even more importantly, we have other individuals every day who put on a badge which represents honor, service, and integrity. Without question, go out there every day, leave their family behind to protect an entire community with hopes that they can make it through the day, through the end of their shift, so that they can go back home to their family and lead a normal human being life, because the life of a police officer is not a normal human being life.
The officer was sentenced to 20 years in prison by this honest judge. Next up is a former deputy, Joshua Underwood, who appears for a bond hearing after he was charged with a standoff.
I find the solicitor's request for a cash or surety bond of $50,000 to be reasonable accordingly. I'm going to impose that cash or bond for your release.
I find it absurd that you haven't even obtained any information from me based off the solicitor. You're going to believe everything that he says.
Okay.
And you're going to go ahead and set a surety bond on me on a misdemeanor.
Okay. Are you finished? Okay. If you'll hear me out, please. Thank you. Additionally, I'm going to place a requirement for a GPS monitor prior to your release on bond. I'm going to restrain or restrict your contact with your domestic partner or the mother of your child, whichever best describes her, to include her place of work and her residence. Additionally, I'm going to prohibit your physical or constructive possession of firearms or ammunition at any time for any reason. And I want to make sure that you understand, when I say constructive possession, I mean there's to be no firearms or ammunition in any vehicle you're being transported in or riding in unless it's...
What grounds? Are you prohibiting me from firearms?
I am.
Why? What grounds?
I am. Because I have that latitude given the severity. Mr. Underwood, Mr. Underwood, in this court, one person talks at a time.
From the solicitor's office and the sheriff's office.
You're going to find yourself in contempt of court.
I've already been in contempt.
Okay.
I'm not here, sir.
All right. Are you going to allow me to finish? Constructive possession of firearms or ammunition means you will not have it in your possession. It won't be in the house or the room that you're staying in. It won't be in the vehicle that you're being transported in, unless we're talking about transport by law enforcement. Do you understand that? All right. That's all. You're dismissed. Officer, if you'll remove him.
Despite the judge being so calm, the deputy refused to show any respect towards him.